Hello, everyone. My name is Abic Ricardo, and welcome back to Wellness Without Shame. First of all, our apologies for the delay in releasing a new episode. We have been quite busy as parents of a 3-year-old and life in general, and our business, our jobs, and we had some technical issues last time, but we are back and we are excited to bring you another episode. So, without further ado, today I want to talk about my experience with being legally blind and being visually impaired. So, a lot of people tend to have this confusion about the difference between being, legally blind and being visually impaired, and that's understandable. However, being legally blind is exactly what it sounds like. It's the legal parameter of your condition, which means you likely cannot drive yourself, and it likely means that you do not have enough vision to see like small print, or your depth perception isn't the best, things like that. So, and or it can also mean that you are completely blind, that you cannot see at all, or maybe that you can see shadows or light. However, being visually impaired typically means that you have more vision. You're still considered legally blind, again, because you do not have 20/20 vision, or like the usable vision that would disqualify you from that. So basically, I'm visually impaired. I can see light, I can see shadow, I can see color, I can see large print. I can also see like enough to do my own makeup for the most part. I can see enough to get my daughter dressed up and everything, to pick out shoes, all that sort of thing. My main issue is I cannot see enough to drive, nor can I see enough to read small print, or like read far away signs. So, that being said, I want to tell you a little bit about like my story, because I was born with my vision issue, and it truly is one of those things that, once you've experienced it, it's truly something unique. And so, going back to, me being born, I was born in a time where science was still there was still a lot of, let's say, different opinions. But when I was born, and they put me in my mother's arms, the doctors noticed something different. They noticed that my eyes were very red, and not only that my eyes were very red, but like my eyes were like really shut. And I wouldn't open my eyes. Like, they were trying to get my eyes open so they could see if there was any damage, if there was any scar tissue, anything going on. And when they finally were able to get me to open my eyes, is when they saw the interesting characteristics that my eyes had. Um, so, as an infant, I went through several exploratory surgeries so that they could try to see, what is going on, what can we do, and the, I guess, the final exploratory surgery, they were able to find out more things. However, my mother, after seeing how I would come out of the OR cold and hungry and crying, she just stopped that process, because it was not a fun process for me. I was, an infant, and as a mother, she did not want to see her child suffer like that. So, once the exploratory surgeries concluded, they told my mother and my aunt, my mother's sister, that I had several eye conditions. And one of them was cataracts, which, yes, that eye condition does have a surgery that you can do to remove the cataracts. However, ever since I was very little, they said that that would not help me. The other eye condition was glaucoma, and it may sound to some people like glaucoma, but it is not. Glaucoma, it has to do with the pressure in your eyes, the pressure of your cornea, like the pressure in your cornea. But glaucoma has to do with the excess protein on top of your corneas. So it's basically turns, so my eyes are blue. And the reason I say that is because my eyes look kind of grayish, and that is because of the excess protein that exists there, which blocks, which obviously blocks some of that vision from the cornea. And then I also had nystagmus, which basically is an involuntary movement of the muscles in your eyes. Basically, the muscles in my eyes are not strong enough to, like, stay still, basically. I grew up with a family that did not coddle me. My grandparents, especially my grandmother, may she rest in peace, was always helping me understand that that did not define me, and helping me understand that sometimes life throws big curveballs in your path, but that you need to decide if you are gonna kick that curveball out of your way, or if you're going to let those curveballs stop you from accomplishing your goals and fulfilling your dreams. My grandfather is a very religious Catholic man, and I will never forget that he always told me that God had a plan for me, that God sent me to this earth to fulfill something. And I used to kind of hesitate to believe that, because as a child, you want other children to accept you. And as much as kids may not understand that they are being cruel, sometimes they Sometimes they are. Um, so at first I was like, but how, Poppy, can, God want this for me if not only do I suffer physically, but some kids reject me because I'm not exactly like them. And he would always tell me that it's all in God's timing and that God has a plan for me and that I should not resist that plan because it was beautiful, just like my soul, just like me. And frankly, I started to believe it. As I got a little bit older, I began to understand that I couldn't please everyone, that I couldn't change the fact that I was visually impaired. I couldn't fix things. So it was better to not only accept it, but also learn to live with it and learn to thrive. Not despite it, but because of it. And it taught me that sometimes you will experience things that feel unfair, that feel like, why is this happening to me? But, and I am not saying it's easy, but there is a little part in all of us. And I recently learned this from someone that has helped me a lot in this past year. That there is a tiny part of us that has the strength to overcome obstacles, to get out of bed even when you don't want to fight for the things that you want, for the things and the people that you love. And it's this little part of us. It's tiny, but it's there. It's there, and you just have to grab it and tug on it. And tug and tug and tug until it's something tangible, something you can grasp. And that is the part that is going to help you move past the negativity, the sadness of your situation. That is the part that is going to give you strength. And that is the part of you that is going to calm your soul. So, that being said, I did, well, better to say that we did pursue other options in terms of medical, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth medical opinion. I cannot remember truly how many doctors I have seen, how many specialists I have seen. I have seen specialists and doctors that have treated me with respect and kindness and have helped me and have gone above and beyond to help me with the physical pain that sometimes can come with my eye condition. Because due to all these eye conditions, I also have really bad dry eye. But I've also met, unfortunately, doctors and specialists that were just like, well, we can't do anything for you. And we're just kind of cold and, not the best side, but not the best bedside manner. But I learned to deal with both, and When I was in elementary school, I I thrived. When I was in middle school, I thrived. When I was in high school, I thrived. When I was doing some college, I thrived. When I went to massage therapy school, I thrived in my own way, with my own tools, with my own technology, with my assistive technology, with accommodations, with whatever I needed to do. But I thrived. I was not perfect, but I thrived. I worked hard. I got good grades. I didn't give up. And I know that I'm sitting here telling you, try, don't give up, and all of these, but I'm not telling you this to give you some motivational speech. No, I'm telling you from the perspective of a person that has lived it, from a perspective of a person that has, been told no because of my vision. There is jobs I was more qualified than other people, and I was told no because the employer didn't want to accommodate me. And so I guess I'm telling you all of this because if one door closes, another door opens. It might sound cliche, but it's the truth, because if you grab onto that little piece of you that has the strength to do it, that has the strength to get up, that has the strength to keep fighting, another door will open. And that's what happened to me. Another door opened. I was able to start my own massage therapy business. I'm doing this podcast now because I care about stories like this, because I care about accommodation. I care about people having the strength to confront their issues and doing it in a healthy way. And all those doctors, all those different perspectives, they all have basically told me that there's no reversing the damage in my eyes, that my cornea has too much scarring, and that doing any type of surgical procedure would probably be more detrimental to me than helpful. And that's fine. Honestly, when people kept giving me no's when it came to my vision, and my mother is my witness, I never cried. Never did. I was at the point in my life where I'd learned how to live with what I had, and I wasn't really losing anything. I mean, I will be completely honest. The only thing that is frustrating sometimes is not being able to drive. Because sometimes, you're like, oh, I don't want to burden my husband to take me here, to take me there, or I don't want to burden my parents or siblings. But frankly, that's about the only thing. I'm a good mother to my child. I think I'm a good wife to my husband. I'm not perfect. There's things that I need to work on. There's things that that we all need to work on. However, I believe that we're doing our best. And my vision isn't something that, again, it's not something that defines me. It's a challenge I must overcome every day, sure, because There are things that are different, and there are things that I must do different than most of my sighted peers, and that is okay. And I am, blessed to have both sighted and non sighted friends. And they are all just as wonderful in their own amazing, unique way. And I'm so fortunate. I truly am. I I have been asked multiple times by multiple people if some scientific, new and improved procedure came along that could give me my sight back, would I take it? And I have thought about it, and I will be very honest with you. My answer is no. And I will tell you why. One is I've lived this way since I was born. I don't really know any better. So I don't particularly miss anything. Second, there's a lot going on around the world, and I don't live under a rock. I hear things, I know things, I understand things. But frankly, I don't need to see it all. I've talked on here about my depression and anxiety, and I don't need to see all the ugliness going on. So, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't choose to put myself in that position, because no one can guarantee me that I wouldn't, have some sort of bad reaction, or that something worse could happen to me. And am I going to risk that? Am I going to risk myself in that way and cause my daughter and husband grief? No, because I will never do anything to cause them grief. So, for some people, you might think differently, and that's completely fine. We all have power over our own body. We should all have autonomy over our own body, and that's fine. But I'm just giving you my side of things, my story, and telling you and explaining to you my perspective on things. I got tired of seeing doctors after doctors, hospital after hospital, and I told my mother no more. She understood, and we stopped. Now we only go for yearly exams just to make sure that my corneas are doing okay and my dry eyes are doing okay. And if not, we get, the proper medication, and that's it. But there's no more talk of surgeries. There's no more talk of trials. There's no more talk of any of that, because it's not necessary. So, if you or someone you know is losing their vision, whether they are older or whether they have an illness that has caused the vision loss, or whether you yourself are losing your vision, or you have a child, or you're an educator, I want to tell you that we thrive more if you treat us like you would any other child. Yes, you're going to have to accommodate. Yes, you're going to have to make certain changes for that person. But don't make it a big thing. Don't make it something that is super obvious. Don't coddle. And I understand that as a parent, it is very difficult not to coddle. Believe me. My daughter had a very traumatic situation as a baby, and my instinct is to coddle her. My instinct is to protect her. My instinct is to not discipline her as much. But as my husband wisely tells me, she needs to learn to respect her mother. She needs to learn to have discipline. She needs to learn, period. And so I tell you this because yes, we need to learn. You know, when I was 5, I fell and I skinned my knee and there's a little blood, and that's because of my depth perception wasn't the best. And my grandma said, "Honey, I love you, but get up. Stop crying. Wipe those tears. We're gonna fix that injury, but after that, you're gonna move on. Because this world is big, and this world is not going to cater to you." And that is the truth, as harsh as it might sound. So, I'm just saying, treat your kids with love, with respect, but with dignity. Give them the dignity they deserve. Discipline them. It doesn't matter that we're visually impaired or totally blind. If we deliberately are playing with the dog's bowl of water, which my daughter does, that is wrong. They know that's wrong. So you discipline. And, it's hard, but we do it because we can't take the easy way out. We can't do that because when we're adults, what's going to happen to us? We won't always have our parents. And we have to learn to be sufficient. We have to self-sufficient. We have to learn to be independent. We have to learn to know how to balance a checkbook. We have to know how to budget. We have to learn how to cook for ourselves. We have to learn how to clean for ourselves. We have to learn how to dress up for a job interview. So give your kids or your loved one or yourself all of the tools to succeed. It is, if you are blind or visually impaired, it is not the end of the world. Like I said, tug on that part of you that has strength and grit, and tug and tug and tug until you can. Until you can get up, until you can say, yes, I'm going to succeed. Practice those positive affirmations and say, I deserve independence. I deserve to be self-sufficient. I deserve to be loved for who I am. I deserve to have strength. I deserve abundance of peace. I deserve abundance of love. I deserve abundance of financial stability. Say that to yourself every day until you believe it. Until there is no doubt in your heart and in your mind that those are the things you deserve. Because believe me, this condition for me, these conditions, I guess, are just a reason for me to try harder. So, remember that you deserve those things too. And I hope my story helps you. I hope that you get something out of this, something positive. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I ask you to please follow our social medias and our Shopify store. We would be happy to talk with you if you want to message me. And it's truly an honor for me to be able to tell you these things, to be able to share my experience, because I believe that if I can even just impact one of you, then that is more than enough. So thank you for listening to Wellness Without Shame. My name is Abby Ricardo, and I will see you next time.